Yo, what is good everybody? Welcome back to another DMB video on the channel. Today I'm breaking down one of the construction kit drops from my new pack, Equilibrium. And yeah, I'm going to dive into the sound design, the composition, the drum design, the audio effects processing and stuff like that. So hopefully I can shed some light on the creative side of what goes into these kits and whatnot. And show you guys how you can make similar ones or apply them to your own drops. And for this video I'm going to be focusing on the kit Broken, which sounds a little something like this. Nice! And once it's in the pack, it is broken up into all the different mini stems. But yeah, this is the ableton session behind it, so I can show you actually what went into it and everything like that. So where do we begin? Let's start with the drums first. I'll play the drums group together and then we'll dive into the separate layers that make up this drum sound. It's a little bit break heavy, this one. It's not like classic kick snare in your face. You can hear a lot of the break that comes through. It just helps with the movement, the flow, and adds a little bit more spice to the drums. For the first layer of the break, started off with a loop that I chopped up. And when sound designing for a pack, I usually like start off an Ableton session. I'll synthesize some drums, drag all sorts of different drum sounds together, kind of create like a hybridization. And that ends up being a humongous Ableton session, which I can just pull different sounds from to create kits like this. So yeah, a lot of random sounds just from the sound design sessions. You can just kind of like randomly pull from, and the breaks were I think somewhere in there. So yeah, chop that up into more like a traditional DMB drum break. I definitely feel like I should mention when creating loops that you're planning on selling, you need to do it either from scratch, record it yourself, get someone else to record it, or public domain. You can't just like peel off from other people's sample packs and just like recycle that in a way. Yeah, I feel like I should definitely bring that up for anybody who's looking to get into making their own sample packs and selling them. So gotta do things pretty much from scratch or near to it. And then second break, a little bit of white noise, don't need any low end because the kick just comes through and we've got a separate kick. If you notice this sounding a little bit pitchy, it's because it's up 6 semitones. I thought up 6 semitones, the snares hit a little bit different, they ring a little bit more, they just sound like old school jungly because that's when they pitched up samples of drums and stuff like that. So these two breaks together. Backbone of the drums, sweet, solid. Introduced the snare from one of my sound design sessions. No effects on this because the snare was already popping. That's cringe. The snare was already banging, so. No snare on the 4, just on the 2. Kind of weird, but we dig it. Another snare coming in. Purposely laid in time with this snare from the breakbeat. Just add a little bit more punch to it. Snare roller, this is a fun layer. You'll notice the fade is incredibly tight. It's not like a massive snare here, it's just like a little ghost snare. It's like a really quick tap. So if we solid, you can kind of hear it there if we didn't fade it out. Not quite right for the drums, so we tighten it up, and then if you think like the main snare placement would be 2 and 4. The ghost snares are kind of like doing beats in between that, and whatever kind of sounds like realistic, like an actual drummer's playing it, kind of went for that style. More snare rollers. More cymbals. Fast cymbals panned right and left for the second half. What is a cool technique? This cymbal. Little bit of overdrive, some weird EQ, frequency shifter, dynamic. That is a processed hi-hat, oh my goodness. But what makes this open hat even more sizzly is the pitch envelope. It just glides up a little bit. If you've seen the recreation video of the Prodigy's, I think it's Smack My Bitch Up or Voodoo People. Either one, someone made a remake of it. One of the techniques is have like an open cymbal or a crash with a pitch envelope added to it, so it kind of like glides up a little bit, which is really weird for cymbals. So I thought, yeah, I'll try something different. And just have the pitch up 13 and a slow attack to kind of glide it up to plus 13. A little bit unconventional, but works well. And lastly, the kick, just like a massive acoustic kick, and then saturator on. Oh my goodness. More kicks, and you blend them together. I don't think I did any processing for this. Oh yeah, more saturated, nice. Mix between the synthesized and the kind of acoustic sound. And yeah, that's pretty much the drums. Just change up the pattern for the second half to make it a bit more traditional D&B. Hence the snare coming in on the 2 and 4. And that's the drums. Let's get into leads and basses and all the other juicy stuff. So this group contains leads and bass, or I should say one lead and one bass, because it's mostly just like synth and respace, and a few other additional random like leads on top of that to kind of keep the flow going and etc, etc. But this lead and this respace kind of just make the whole thing move. So it is a serum patch if you cannot tell already, and I will play it without the effects because the effects definitely make this sound. That's the lead without. So yeah, just saw wave, a little bit of modulation, filter, unison, definitely. My classic effects lineup: hyperdimension, distortion, OTT, and filter. Filters coming in clutch there. And if we go through the effects, it's pretty much like what I described in the respace tutorial I dropped the other day. Saturation, trash, a little bit of phaser, EQ, a little bit of chorus, and a little bit of width. Saturated definitely brings up the volume, obviously. Hence the drive and the bass. Trash too. Absolutely mangled. Yeah, Trash 2 is definitely contributing to the overall sound. Phaser. It kind of almost sounds like a filter's being applied to it, like no lows, no highs, just kind of squish it mid-range. Sounds cool. A little bit EQ, don't want any bass whatsoever. Chorus, just a little subtle bit. Soothe 2 to round off any of the rough edges on the sound, which there were quite a few, and sounding even more bandpassy, and then little micro shift to make it wider. Onto respace now. It is an identical patch apart from the pitch automation on, or the pitch envelope I should say on it, to kind of descend that pitch. A similar lineup of effects. Saturator, white noise on erosion to give it a little bit more grit. I think that's the same Trash 2, yep. Same phaser, a little bit less. Boost the low, make it wide, and then soothe to round off the edges once again. I think with this kit what I did is made that respace, thought, oh this is sick, I'll play it up a few octaves, and then they came up with that lead over the top. I was like, that works, tweak the effects a bit more, and then kind of just blend them together with some glue compression. And it sounds sick. That is such a pretty respace. Keep the same lead pattern going for the second half, and then introduce like a bass progression for the respace. Gotta have the glide note as well, so it's like octave up, down. Next layer is like a chord sound. It sounds pretty rubbish, it's in the background, just emphasizing points. Yeah, nothing too crazy whatsoever. So I'm just gonna brush past that. It's not essential to the overall kit sound, but it is just in the background. Doing its thing, just making it a bit more wider and fuller. Next up is a random lead that comes in for the first half and is more essential in the second. Saw wave with a filter on it, easy. And then a few effects as well. Drive, why have I got drive down and mix up? That doesn't make any sense. Chorus, OTT, reverb, filter, and EQ. And it is an identical patch for this layer, but it is playing a couple octaves down instead of. Group them together, smash them with effects. Frequency shifter, like I mentioned in the respace video, turn up the fine tuning a bit and drop the dry wet down to give it that kind of 2010 aesthetic. But honestly, it doesn't do much if you turn it off. So not super essential. Soothe 2, round off the edges, no bass whatsoever, a little bit more grit, overdrive, saturator, more Soothe 2 because it's a rough sounding sound, and a little bit of delay, automation on the dry wet so it kicks in on the first half. This is pretty essential sound to come through. Not super dominant in the mix, just there in the background, but definitely adding to the movement of the second half, I should say. And one final serum lead, if you guessed, it's probably going to be the same serum patch as the lead and the respace. You're 100% correct. Super versatile, and just like a weird pattern like this. And it just helps with the background effects and keeps it moving, because it's kind of sporadic leads. You're kind of like, ooh, what's happening? It's not spooky, I'd say it's a little bit edgy, because it's just like 3 quick notes descending randomly with delay, just kind of in and out, in and out. Lots of saturator, trash, probably the same as the lead and the respace. Phaser, EQ, couple of choruses, and delay. I think what's cool about taking the initial respace with all its effects is realizing how versatile it is if you play it up like different octaves. Majority of the synth sounds is just that serum patch with that processing, tweaked to cater to different leads and ideas. Like loads of EQ, a little bit of soothe, and make it wide. It's pretty much turned it into a lead now. A little bit more EQ, chorus, and delay turned it into another lead. It's just like adapting it to a specific purpose for a different element in this drop. So yeah, that is the kit broken. Hopefully you did enjoy it, and I'll catch you guys next time.